So one of the most important topics in establishing a marketing plan is the positioning of your good, service, or experience. So let's talk a little bit about how you go about positioning your product. Position marketing is what we refer to as an organized method of getting into the consumer's mind. Your position is the consumer's perception of your brand relative to the competition. The consumer's perception of your brand relative to the competition. It's also what consumers think of when your brand name is mentioned, and it's also why consumers buy your product. So think about something like the Chevrolet Equinox. Well, part of the positioning strategy for Chevrolet is to get consumers to perceive the Chevrolet Equinox as better than the competition, and that is in terms of the product attributes that you might find important. It's also what people think about when you mention Chevrolet Equinox, what comes to mind. And then finally, the positioning is the reasons why customers buy your product. So position marketing is all about designing a marketing strategy, and that's mostly a communication strategy, to get customers to think about my product in a way that will increase the likelihood of purchase. So why is positioning so important today? Well, you live in an over-communicated society, and so you don't listen to most communications. Remember the very first day, I pointed out that not any of us read a full email if it's more than 1 or 2 sentences long. And so the reality of it is you're always simplifying things. The result is what's called an oversimplified mind. And that is all about the 30-second soundbite mentality, which is now more like a 10-second soundbite mentality. Don't think customers care about you, and don't think customers know about you. We are always trying to simplify things. The solution to an oversimplified mind and an overcommunicated society is an oversimplified message. Your positioning strategy is a one-sentence sales campaign. That's the idea behind positioning. So how much do you think the average Chicago, Los Angeles, or New York resident knows about Las Vegas? Well, they know that there's gambling here, and maybe they know a little bit about it because maybe they've been here once or twice, but they don't really know very much about Las Vegas. They don't know about the school systems, and they don't know about lots of other things about Las Vegas. And so the answer to that question is less than you think. So let's talk about some basic ideas about positioning. So the first one is, how much do you think the average customer knows about each product? The answer? No less than that. The second basic idea is understand that the competition's position is as important as yours. And that starts to go into the idea of the against position. What do we mean by this? Well, an example of this is the famous General Motors division called Cadillac. It used to be when I was a child that the Cadillac was the most expensive, the premier automobile in America. Well, that's no longer true today, right? We think of other cars as being maybe more prestigious and more higher quality than Cadillacs. For instance, we might be able to name a few: Mercedes, BMW, maybe even Audi, Lexus, Infiniti, Acura, and the list goes on and on and on. So one of the problems that Cadillac's had over the years is not so much that their product has changed, it's just that the competition has increased and upped the game. And Cadillac has not been able to respond to that. So the problem with Cadillac's position now in the marketplace is that they are no longer considered to be the premier automobile in the marketplace. And that's partially because other competitors have come into the marketplace and taken that position away from them. Third, and one of my favorite comments to all students who are studying marketing, and that is perception is reality in the mind of the consumer. So if a consumer perceives something to be true, it's true. When I first got to Las Vegas, I was doing a project with Caesars Entertainment. And this was back when it was really Caesars Palace, run by Caesars World. And one of the things that they found at Caesars was that many people walked through Caesars, but they didn't spend any money gambling there. And of course, these were low rollers, but the idea was if all these people are walking through our casino, how come they don't spend any money gambling here? You know, they had 25-cent slot machines and like everybody else. Well, when they sat down and talked to these customers, what the customers said was, well, the slot machines at Caesars are tighter than the slot machines are at other places. That is, they have lower paybacks. Well, that was simply not the case, and the people at Caesars saw that data and said, that's not true. Of course, the response to that is what? Well, it doesn't really make any difference if it's true or not. If people perceive it to be true, it's true until you can prove to them that it's not true. So the idea is, if you're going to do positioning, it's important to understand what people's current perceptions are, because unless you can change those perceptions, you can't change how they will position your product in their mind. Next, you can't appeal to everybody. You know, just as we talked about in segmentation, you can't appeal to every single customer in terms of how your product is positioned. So you can't be the highest quality, lowest price, most reliable, on and on and on. The truth is that you can't appeal to everyone, and so the way that you position your product in the marketplace has to be designed to appeal to a very specific crowd. And then finally, on this group of basic ideas, consistency of position is the key. You can't establish a position in the mind of a customer unless all of the 4 Ps are consistently pushing towards a particular position and you're willing to stay with that strategy for an extended period of time. You can't change your positioning and your marketing strategy every couple of days or every couple of months. Some more basic ideas. Some positions are not obtainable. That is, you can't say that we have the highest quality and the lowest price. Why don't customers believe that? Well, it's because we know that that's not the way things generally work. In general, products that cost more are better. And so some positions are simply not obtainable. Next, it's important that you identify how you are factually different, not in unobservable terms, but rather in the facts. My favorite example of this was in the 1990s when Burger King decided to develop a marketing campaign to try to take away some of McDonald's customers. And so they went in and they tried to identify how Burger King was factually different. And one of the things that they said they identified was that at Burger King, the burgers are flame broiled on a conveyor belt with a gas burner. And at McDonald's, the burgers were grilled. Well, that's a factual difference. And so Burger King developed this advertising campaign where they said, our burgers are flame broiled, McDonald's burgers are fried. People like flame broiled burgers more than they like fried burgers. And so you should buy your hamburgers at Burger King because our burgers are flame broiled, and in reality positioning themselves as the flame broiled hamburger restaurant. Now, McDonald's tried a number of things to try to combat this, but at the end of the day, that was a successful campaign because it was based on facts. Now, the easiest way to establish a position is to be first. The second easiest way, be second. The third easiest way, be third. Fourth easiest way, be fourth. The hardest way, be last. And so if you are a late entrant into a marketplace, it's going to take a little bit more time and effort and thought to establish a position and probably more marketing dollars. The last of the basic ideas in positioning is focus on one idea, one statement, one word, or one concept. Flame broiled hamburgers. Our hamburgers are flame broiled. If you're In-N-Out Burger, it's what? Our food is fresh, never frozen. And so one idea, one statement, one word, one concept is the way to establish a positioning statement and a positioning slogan or communication for individuals. Once again, you can't appeal to everybody, and therefore you can't appeal to everyone. The solution is identify customers with specific wants and needs, develop a product that's geared for them, and then position the product in a way that it obviously meets the wants and needs of that particular group.